Rider Matt doing his job. There's like not even a gallon of fuel in there. As you can see, I cut the stock pedal and I welded it to the Silverado cut pedal, and it's literally perfect. So maxed out. Like it goes 100%. And that's how you put a Silverado pedal in a G-body for welding costs. Wham bam, right in the clam. Well, I keep stalling here. I don't know what's going on. I have to check the data log, see if we can start it here again. Ready? It'll probably stall again. I think the crank sensor's all fucked up. It's acting weird. Here, let me go down this. Yeah, it's speed sensor. It's not liking it at all. Goodness gracious, it does not want to run. Well, I'm out at the school. Everything's running right, it's just pretty sure the vehicle speed sensor is what's causing the issue. So I'll have to get that in there and drive around, but you have to like fucking give it shit and it'll finally go through. So everything seems to be running right though. Like driving a Camino S, just listen. Yeah, should we get a little bit of oh. Dope. Let's give her a little bit of love, shall we? Ready? We're going. Take a look at this. Just cruising down the road. Right, 55. Everything doing pretty good. What if I told you I forgot to hook up the O2 sensors? So at 2,000, so nice little rig. I dig it. And this is where we're at. So car runs, needs a vehicle speed sensor, like I mentioned in the past videos that I posted, but everything's good to go. I forgot to connect to the O2 sensors after I did the mid pipe on the car, but it runs good other than coming to a stop. Don't mind the spaghetti. All this is getting cleaned up, which I know it's like just like puking into the car, but I will clean all this stuff up. Everything's like obviously loomed, but here I need to go and organize everything and kind of label it a little bit, and then just kind of put it right here. So yeah, the car runs good. It doesn't have a lockup. The lockup signal from the stock computer that was in this car doesn't know what's going on, and we've talked about it with the stock PCM. That's one of the least of my concerns is the lockup on it, because eventually this car is probably going to get like a 4L80 anyways. So I'm not too worried about it. But coming to a stop and not having the car die without the vehicle speed sensor is kind of a concern. If you put your foot on the brake and you get the car like quarter throttle and then keep it there for about 1 to 2 seconds and then let off at a stop sign, it's fine. So it basically you just have to foot brake it coming in to a stop and then just let it off and it's fine. But it's not that bad because having no neutral park neutral switch on it, you can start it with while it's in drive and just take off anyway. So it's not that big of an issue. It's not like you need it stopped in place. But yeah, it runs and drives great. You go on the highway and you can go 55, 65 mile an hour. An issue. You're going 2,000 to 2,200 RPM. And I really like to get like MPG numbers off this the way it is. Just curious. Because I believe like the 305 that was in this thing would probably get like, 19 miles per gallon. Pretty sure this will probably get at least 19 miles per gallon. Because there's like, when you go down the road, you can tell it's not working at all. So I'm planning on taking this thing to work tomorrow, probably throughout the week, and to see how it drives. And then I'll get everything cleaned up there and get it ready to go. It's actually going to go into storage for the winter. And I already have a list of stuff I'm going to do next year, just to, minor stuff like get the AC going and get the vehicle speed sensor. I'll probably still do that this year, but it's not a necessity anymore. Get the vehicle speed sensor in, and then get stuff like cruise control, because I actually have that right here at the cruise control wires. I go to the TAC module and we'll get that connected to the switch that's in there. And then that way, that's not going to work unless you have a vehicle speed sensor. I'll tell you that right now. That will not work unless you have that sensor in. So I think what we'll do is, supposedly, the TAC in these things, behind there's supposed to be a vehicle speed sensor that goes to the ECU, which is over there, behind that kick panel. And it's supposed to do 2,000 revolutions a mile. So what we should be able to do is either plug that directly into the stock computer, or I believe this is a 3-wire setup, and the stock LS stuff is a 2-wire setup. So we need a pull down resistor and then adjust the tune in the computer to read 2,000 revolutions a mile versus I think it's like 4,000 or something like that stock. So it shouldn't be an issue. We can play with it. Honestly, if it's within 3 mile per hour, 4 mile per hour, it'll run just fine. The speedo gauge will actually be the same because it's still mechanically driven. The PCM just needs to know that it's moving to make fuel adjustments, because what's happening, and this is, I can't say it's a theory because you can look all over the internet, it's the same thing, is the computer has no idea the engine is under load because it doesn't see it moving. Obviously, if you're not moving, you shouldn't be under load unless you're like foot braking it, but you're typically like in park or neutral. So when you're coming down from coasting, it's just not feeling correctly, and when you're taking off, it does what it can to make sure that it can stay alive. So guys that don't connect vehicle speed sensors and they can make it work, cool. I would rather have a vehicle speed sensor in this thing and make it more like a stock Silverado or Tahoe or Suburban or whatever you want to drive that has these things in it, just to make it run the way it's supposed to. So we're going to get that going. That's probably the next priority, is get the vehicle speed sensor working and working correctly, because I think from there is small details. So it's like stuff like we got to connect like I have the stock water temp sensor to the gauges that we need to connect, and then I also have the oil pressure sensor that we also need to connect to the stock loom that goes to the ECU that's already in this car, but basically it's just giving it a signal for the gauges here. The fuel gauge works correctly. Everything else is right. The bolts work. We need to put a tach in this car at some point. So it's basically the oil pressure and the water temp, and then these gauges work. And the stuff's already there, so I just have to connect it and then clean up the rest. So it'd be nice because then we can put a tach in there. We can maybe get something from like a Monte Carlo, or we can put like a digital tach, or we can just go on Dakota Digital and say screw it, just go right off the serial line. But it'd be cool. Actually, I'd like to put. It's my father-in-law's car, so I mean, it's up to him. But I would actually like to put something in there the way it is for like from a Monte Carlo for a tach, and then kind of keep it stock. I actually like this. It's kind of cool getting in a car like this and you just have everything stock and it just works. But putting a Dakota Digital dash in this thing would also be pretty cool too. So I mean, it's horse a piece, but yeah, it runs. I'm gonna drive it tomorrow, probably throughout the week to go to work. Yeah, we're here. It drives. It works, and we're probably gonna put it in storage for the winter so I can work on that thing, the twin turbo 5.3 C4 Corvette. Get the cage in and everything else. So that's the update. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Other than that, it's about the last update you're going to see for a while. So take care. Talk to you later. Bye.